Streaming from Oklahoma's own digital studio, this is OSU Football Update, brought to you by Bronze.
Welcome into an OSU Football Update as the Pokes get set to host Houston coming up on Saturday. It's an early start in that game again for the second week in a row on TNT. My name is Jeremie Poplin. That is Deion Imade, former Oklahoma State Cowboy. Deion, let's just start with the kind of mindset with where we're at now with Oklahoma State. Is it fair to say that the season is in disarray, but not necessarily the program? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest and very blunt, I guess you could kind of say that. I mean, it just, the season hasn't gone the way you would hope coming into it at all, you know. Started off with...
That might be an understatement, by the way.
I'm trying to be optimistic in the most, you know, legitimate way possible, because I don't want to lie to the people, you know. I don't want to, you know, lose credibility from that standpoint. But also, it's like, dog, you come into the season, it seems like Gundy has fully, you know, headfirst dived into this NIL era and said, hey, you know what? This is the way the game is played now. Let's do it. Let's get younger guys. Let's get younger coaching staff where they're about this business too. Let's get a defensive coordinator who Nick Saban, you know, gives all the credit in the world to and gives him his vote of approval. Let's bring him in. Let's run a defense. Let's get some guys who can rush the passer. Let's, you know, offensively, let's do some fun things with, you know, Coach Meacham going, you know, horizontally and getting that stuff going. And then all of a sudden you roll out there versus, you know, UTSA, and it looks good, it looks fun. You still have a little bit of trouble stopping the run, but hey, this is a building block. Way to go. And then you go out and play Oregon and you get smacked. And ever since that smacking from the Ducks, everything has just gone downhill.
That's what I was going to ask you about at some point in the pod, but since you brought it up, let's just go ahead and do it now. The everlasting is the wrong way to phrase it. The long-lasting imprint and damage that was done from a loss like that on the road to a team that, by the way, is still not only undefeated, but you would put in the top 3 teams in the country right now. They're good, but that type of damage that was done from that loss, you're still feeling the effects of it today, and not from a, hey, we've moved on from Mike Gundy. From me, just looking at it from a distance, seeing them up close and in person in only one game, I think the mental effects of what that did too is still kind of rattling around in everyone's head.
I mean, bro, it's really demoralizing. You got to think about it. I mean, every time you go to the television, the better Oregon plays, the more you'll see those highlights of Oklahoma State, you know, getting dismantled by. And on top of that, Moore, their quarterback, is probably top 3, top 2 as far as Heisman candidates right now. So he's getting press clippings all over the place, and you're seeing more highlights of Oklahoma State, you know, getting embarrassed on national television. So, and then on top of that, we go into a situation where, all right, get into a bye week. Gundy does great during the bye weeks. We'll figure things out. We'll shuffle some things around, and we'll come back out here. And no disrespect to TU or anything like that, but losing to TU when our program in recent years and even in the past hasn't done that, you know? So it kind of rattles your confidence from after Oregon, and then losing after the bye week like that, it puts you in a bad headspace, and it's kind of been a struggle to climb out of that.
Well, I think the writing was on the wall after the Oregon loss, and that's what I talk about, kind of the mental hangover that's still kind of occurring from that, because you knew at that point, more than likely, what was eventually going to happen, some changes that were there from a very weird situation that happened back in January and December in the first place. So here we are, and we're also in the era of college football now where when stuff like this goes down, you've now afforded the opportunity for players to be able to make decisions about what their future looks like, you know, for the first time. Well, not for the first time, it's happened for a couple of years now, but this window that's open for 30 days. You played there. I know that if I played there and had that opportunity with what the future looked like of being a bit cloudy, I might take every opportunity as well to see at least what my options were at that point. So I don't blame any of the players at all. But here's what Oklahoma State is going through right now from a player perspective. Something that, we talk about, hey, our most important facet is our players. We want to make sure that the players are good. We're taking care of them. And still are to a certain degree. But when you make a decision to move on from a head coach, these are the things that are down the road that has the potential to happen. But until you get in the middle of it, where you have people that are leaving left and right, that show up on that injury report that comes out as, doubtful or questionable, it really kind of puts the team structure in a complete bind with the options that are given to them. And you almost take what's left of 2025, crumple it up, and throw it out the window. Like overall. And I know there are guys that are still in there every single day that are fighting for every single scrap that they have. And I'm not taking away from them, but I think about the strain that is put on them in a situation like this.
It's Pop. We've been taught this when you're in athletics, especially in a Gundy-led program. There's nothing that kills a team like distractions. And when you let a coach go in the middle of the seasons, what you invite into the program is nothing but distractions, week in and week out. Talking about who's going to be there, who's going to play, interim coaches. The media starts coming in and asking so many questions outside of between the white lines that all you're dealing with is distractions here, distractions there, that you can't really focus on the game, and it leads to even more losses. So,
by the way, I want to make this point, Deion. This is not me saying like, "Woe is me, college athlete." I'm not doing that. What I'm saying is that you do provide, to your point, like outside noise that kind of infiltrates what is supposed to be like a family and team environment there, that creates more problems. And there's also the other part of my brain now that is thinking that is like, well, welcome to everyday life, because you walk into instances where there's going to be outside noise that enters. You're not always going to have a perfect scenario where people change, like even within your own department at work or whatever. So there are lessons to be learned. That's not what I'm saying here. But what I'm saying is sometimes when decisions like this happen, like if you're a guy that's been working your tail off through the course of the summer and you are in it every single day, like you are now taking on the full weight of decisions that are made at a higher level. And I also want to make it very clear, that's not me saying that I felt like it was a wrong decision on the timing. That's not me. That's not for me to decide. You've got to get a jump on this under the current schedule and what the calendar looks like with college football. I get all of that.
Yeah, because Chad was, has more information than any of us do, and he made the best decision he thought was for the program going into the future. I think the thing that we're concentrating on is the season and how those decisions affect the season, winning and losing. And honestly, when you're talking about, distractions all throughout life, that's going to happen. That's a part of life. You're correct. But the thing that differs in this situation, in this scenario, is when you're a part of a football team and you're going through a season, the distractions that you face are usually distractions that within the program. The distractions we're not talking about your personal life and the grades and the classes that you're going into and your family stuff. We're talking about between the white lines, the things that's happening in the program. Normally, those distractions that happen take place and have something to do with everybody. So everybody's going through the same type of distractions. But now you've entered into this element where everybody has individual distractions where, am I 1 foot in or 1 foot out? Am I fully, a part of this program? What am I going to do with my future? There's so many question marks and different variables that play a factor in individual players rather than their counterparts or the individuals that are in that locker room with them.
Okay, so my ultimate question is, where do we go from here? Like, where does the program go for here? I know the ultimate answer is, well, dummy, they're going to hire a head coach and they're going to, overhaul the entire staff. we're not there yet. My
No.
question is, where do the Pokes go from today, which is the 10th of October, before we get to the end point in the season, Deion? And if it continues down this trend, I think they're going to continue to have moments where they play better. I don't know ultimately what that translates into in terms of wins, because you could look at the rest of their schedule, and I don't know where there's many wins on that. But I just wanted to pick your brain about where collectively they go. Is it just week to week, just trying to improve, to do the best that you can? I don't think anyone wants to see them completely fall off a cliff, because I don't know what good that does for anyone, including the new head coach that's coming in to take over the situation.
Well, from that standpoint, I think when you ask where do you go from here, I think you kind of go with that old Bill Belichick motto. As much as we kind of don't want to be in that light right now, but we're on to Cincinnati. You're on to Houston. I think you have to take it as a week by week basis, control the things that you can control, and focus on your opponent that's up ahead. There's only one game that you can play, and that's the game that's up next. So in this standpoint, Houston brings in some elements that are challenging, and there's different things that are happening with the football team right now that they're having to face, and the adversity that's coming into place that they're having to deal with, and they got to handle those situations on a week-to-week basis. This week is Houston. This week, Sam Jackson the fifth is more than likely the person who's going to be, under center for majority of the snaps offensively. They have to find ways to deal with that situation, that scenario, and find ways to, be competitive and get a win.
Sam Jackson the fifth. Anytime someone has the fifth at the end of their name, I don't know why, I just instantly have the image of him walking around Bel Air Academy with his jacket inside out the way that Will Smith used to on Fresh Prince. Like, Sam Jackson the fifth would absolutely wear his jacket inside out.
The fifth would definitely be a private school kid.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Speaking of him, now you're in another situation where you're going to your third quarterback, not by choice, right? Because of injury, you're doing this. Is it, in your opinion, good to have a guy like that has had a variety of experiences, whether that's been at receiver, right, in the previous place was Auburn previously where he was at. He spent some time at Cal, a quarterback. He was at TCU, so he's on multiple schools. But I guess with what you have left, there's not many options. You want someone in a scenario like this that has at least played at a high level within big-time conferences. The results, who knows what they're going to be, but he at least has more of a mental ability at this point in his life to kind of handle the scenario that's around him, just because of the maturity and age that he has.
You're definitely right about that. I'm almost curious to want to ask Coach Meach if he was ever in a scenario in his head thinking, hey, we need to get Sam Jackson the fifth some snaps at quarterback on a real live, quarterback throwing from the pocket type of situation instead of all this wildcat and trick plays, because he might be our next best option if something happens to Flores, which it did. Because you think about it, the guys that are behind him are a freshman and then a new guy that they just had to add to the roster from, North Alabama, and who's been on the team for maybe 2 or 3 weeks now. So, I mean, I wonder if, as a coach, he's like, well, this might be a parachute that we might need to rip the cord and go with, and hopefully we can land safely. And now that opportunity has presented itself, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that being the case.
So from that standpoint, let's also just real quickly take a peek at what's happening at running back, and more from like a play calling perspective. Did the offensive line play better last week, in your opinion, than what we have seen in the early stages?
Honestly, I don't know. I know there was. I feel like they were given more opportunities to run the football. I think. I think in the game previously there was instance where the offensive play calling got a little too pass happy, and there were opportunities to run the football because Trent Howland and Rodney Fields Jr. are very good running backs, and when presented the opportunity, I mean, I've said this throughout the season, even the Oregon game, those guys, when they were given the opportunities, they were getting 4, 3, 5 yards a pop, and that's a successful running game if you think about it. I mean, it's not those wow big plays that, you know, college football fans hope to see, and there were some big breaks in there, but if you consistently run the football, then good things happen. I mean, I was saying this, you know, in the matchup earlier this year, on first down when they run the football and they stay ahead of the chains, the offense is successful. I think that was more of an instance in that game last week versus Arizona, where when they were given opportunities, they were having some success with it. It's just something that they need to be consistent with.
To the defensive side of the ball, Clint Bowen's main priority was to try to simplify things, just make things as clear and as simple as possible. And I know there's a lot of revolving and moving parts to the defense because of transfer portal and guys deciding not to be here. And I'm not knocking on those guys, because back to my original point, like, you get one shot in life.
Yeah.
You get one shot in life, and no one else looks out for your happiness other than you. If you're not happy with the situation, I've never really blamed anyone if they want and try to go make something of themselves in a new situation. If it doesn't work out, then that's on them. They've made the decision. But I'm not going to call anyone and just say, like, good riddance, like, who needs you? I've never been that way with these players, right? They're making the decision that they think is best for them. It's on them.
Yeah.
But now with kind of is it fair to say leaner? So you got a leaner and more simplified defense. Does that, in your opinion, kind of free you up a little bit to just be able to go play? You hear coaches sometimes just say, just go play, man. Like, just go play. Has that happened, and do you think you'll see more of that?
I think you will see more of it because of what happened in the early part of the season. I think these players were forced to think way too much. And when you're thinking, you're playing slow. It's always been the recipe. When you can do complicated stuff, it's because you've had the reps and the experience to handle those things second nature. You don't have to think. It's just instinct. You can go and play and react. Now, if you don't have that experience, especially within a defense, then you're going to have to think about it on the field, and you're playing slow because of that. And I think they're trying to eliminate that from these guys' memories, play simpler so they can play faster. I mean, you saw the stats versus the rush last week versus Arizona. I mean, that's just being able to say, hey, it's run, fill the gaps, run downhill, let's go play some defense. On the back end, the passing yards, they weren't the same. I mean, just for the sheer fact that, hey, Arizona has some really good wide receivers. Their quarterback is a very experienced player, and we lost 2 safeties at the same position in the same week. So with that being the case, you just didn't have the guys back there to compete. And unfortunately, those guys are going to have to grow up and grow up fast.
All right, as we get set to wrap up, first, a quick message from our sponsor, Brahms.
Yeah.
Shout out. Telling you, real deal. Right now, you could go into my freezer. You could find that pistachio almond that's in there right now.
Bro,
don't laugh at me, Deion. Don't laugh.
Don't sleep on that.
Don't
sleep on that cookie dough.
Pecan and cherries. Like, get my old head on. Good stuff. We'll be right back after this word from Brahms.
Yeah.
Brahms Banana Fudge Sundae gives a whole new meaning to decadent taste. 2 creamy scoops of premium vanilla ice cream overflowing with delicious hot fudge and fresh slices of banana to create the perfect balance between the fruity banana flavor and rich hot fudge. Treat yourself to a banana fudge sundae at Brahms, where every spoonful is pure bliss.
Okay, Deion, as we get set to wrap up, I heard this conversation the other day, and I do not agree with it at all. And it was Oklahoma State got thrown into this lump of teams and schools. that are currently looking for a head coach or have the potential of thinking about moving on from their current head coach. And it was in the grand scheme of where they sit in not just college football, but within their conference. And Oklahoma State was lumped in with a group like Arkansas, which is natural. Mm-hmm. And it became like the question of, are those schools falling behind in the conference that they're in to a point where they're not able to catch up? And I know we've talked about a version of this in the past, because you know this from watching a lot of Big 12 football. Like, there are some schools that are on the come up in the Big 12. Like, Tech is the one that stands out, right? Colorado's much improved, even though not quite as good from what they were. Iowa State's doing Iowa State things. I'm a little miffed by Kansas State. Like, what's happened there? That one's a little odd. I don't know what's happened at Baylor. TCU looks to be stable, at least. Willie Fritz has got Houston, I'm telling you, in a spot where they're better. We already know that they're better. But wait till about year 2 or 3 when Willie has the full ability to kind of recruit within the Houston area and also use the newfound money that they have in their rev share and NIL programs based off of Fertitta. Houston's going to be one to keep an eye out on. Yeah. Utah is always Utah, BYU. So I'm not saying it's easy, but this mindset that Oklahoma State's going to fall off of the cliff even within their own conference, I don't think holds water in the current state of college football. Exactly like Arkansas in those comments. It just takes the example I'll use is Ole Miss. If we're just being honest, Ole Miss is good now. Ole Miss, through the history of its program, has had a few good moments, and then outside of that, a bunch and a history of just bad football. Bad football. Look at where they're at now. Not because of necessarily Lane, but because of the systems that have been put in place under the umbrella of what it takes to be successful now in college football, where everyone's on the same page with where the money goes. All you have to do is get your money right from your people that care about the program more than anyone else, and you can start the climb up. Arkansas is in a prime position. Oklahoma State, we hear whispers of being in a prime position now with a potential new coach. Look at what Tech has done with a money guy. And you might not always have a 4 or 5-time billionaire like Tech has, but if you can get the right people in the right places like Ole Miss did, like Tulane has. Tulane was the bottom barrel of college football for the longest period of time. Look at how good they are now. To my point, you can do it anywhere, and Oklahoma State is in a prime position with the people that they have if you can get everyone to act accordingly and to understand what the one true mission is.
And here's the thing, and the sad thing it is, because it used to be all about geographical location and being able to, get players from different, high schools, different powerhouses, and bring them on your team. And because you were closer, you could reach them faster. And it's not about that. It's about, do you have the money? Show me the money. And
if you got the money, guess what? I'll go to Lubbock,
bro. I'll tortillas. I love them. You got bread? Yeah, sure. Bring me some. Like, it's all, in this day and age,
green chilies on everything, man. Let's go.
Let's do it. Because in this day and age, college football, let's talk about it. Andrew Luck in Stanford just got a gift of $50 million to the program. Stanford's going to be back pretty soon, guys. They're going to be, because they have the donors. If you make the donors happy and they continue to donate, your program will slowly, maybe rapidly increase, especially if you have the right coach in place as well. Let's not take that away from the equation. It's all about Jimmys and Joes, but X's and O's come into play as well. And sometimes, here's the thing, if your donors aren't happy with the coach, then they'll stop donating to show that they're displeased. But if
ask Brian Harsin at Auburn, Deion. They couldn't stand Brian Harsin, so what they do, they closed up their checkbooks. They clicked the close on the ink pens. Yeah. They weren't. Let me update my references. They weren't. Zelle, Cash App, like any of those, like sending any of that money, any bank transfers, that stopped because they didn't like the head coach.
Yeah, man. It's unfortunately you have to please the powers that be, and winning solves all problems. So you can do it if you can get somebody that people like, if you can inspire them to open their checkbooks. Let me update my references as well, because nobody's really writing checks. Everybody's, wiring.
I got behind someone
Yeah.
the other day at Walmart that was still writing a check.
How old were they? 65?
Actually, surprisingly young, like about my age, so in their 40s. And I was like, that used to be me, but not me anymore.
Can't be writing checks, guys. Can't be writing checks. Things get stolen real fast. But yeah, bro, like you just got to you got to win. You got to make the donors happy, and you got to be able to get the guys. And when those things kind of align, your program can increase and go up in a dramatic way. Ask Texas Tech.
All right, I'll leave you with this. Are you in the camp of, big picture-wise, within your program, should the GM work for the head coach, or should the head coach work for the GM?
That's a great question, Pop.
Because we've got examples of it happening in college football right now of both ways.
Yeah, that's a great question, Pop. Because somebody literally called Robert Allen's show earlier, and he was like, we should go hire a GM first, and then we get the coach. And I was like, this is college football. It makes sense, but I don't like it. So I don't
Is
know.
it college, though, with the way that it's trending? I know there are elements of it that will never be pulled out of it, but the business model and structure, is it actually college?
But I think it's a situation where somebody has to be the face and the lead. And I think it's different scenarios for different programs. If you got a head coach that knows what he's doing and knows what he wants, he can just have a guy who can execute it for him. And on vice versa, if you got a guy who knows how to run a program and knows how to find talent, and you just need an X's and O guys, I think I can't pick. I can't pick. In the situation that I'm leaning towards, I think it's head coach gets his GM, and they get to run in together. I think that's what I would prefer. But if a GM like Andrew Luck, so to speak, knows how to run a program, I mean, especially with his dad being who he is, and him being the face of Stanford football and everything, that can work too. So I don't see a problem with either one, but I lean towards head coach gets his GM.
I'm not saying there's a right or wrong answer on any of this, because I don't think anyone knows yet, but there are examples, as I mentioned, across college football of both ways of doing it, and that's without even getting into the topic, because football is the big moneymaker. Does the GM have all the power within the athletic department? You know what I mean? Like,
there's still an athletic director that he has to answer.
I know, but the dynamic of power now is different than it used to be, especially with the revenue that football is bringing in to rise and bring up everyone within the athletic department based off of decisions that you're making as a GM. I mean, it's very fascinating now to think of the power dynamics that happen within college, something that we never thought that we'd get to before. But I wanted your opinion on, should a coach be working for a GM, or should a GM be working for a coach in college?
Whoever makes the boosters happy.
And with that, best point of the entire show right there at the very end. Deion, appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for jumping on. We'll catch you on the Cowboy Radio Network, right?
Yes,
you
sir.
Doing pre and post?
Pre and post.
Look at you, radio superstar.
I'll be trying.
Watch out, radio superstar coming through.
Watch. Facebook TV though. Come on now. Don't discredit me now. All
right, and with that, I think we'll get a farewell on that. Deion, thanks again, man. Thank you to Brahms as well, and thank all of you for tuning in. Remember, hit that like and subscribe button, Oklahoma's Own Sports on YouTube. This is the Oklahoma State channel, but we've got a variety of other things. I'll just promote our Thunder channel as well, with the Thunder season, preseason now, but getting ready to get underway October 21st with the first game. Oh, that's right. The Rockets are in town with KD and ring night.
Goodness
Watching
gracious.
the Oklahoma City Thunder get that ring, so we'll have all of that for you here on Oklahoma's Own Sports. Until next time, we will see you later.
Thank you for watching this Oklahoma's Own digital studio stream. Stay with News on 6 online and on television anytime for the latest news, weather, and sports.